Cholesterol, the myelin sheath, and the autoimmune phenomena are all interplayed and cause a multitude of devastating symptoms for statins.
Dr. Wu gives some essential advice regarding statins.
You should never stop your statin without your physician's advice. You should evaluate your body and your symptoms. Could you possibly be having a statin side effect? You should educate yourself. Do you know what your cholesterol numbers were before you started statins? Do you know what they are on your current dose? Do you know what your HDL and LDL are? Do you know what your triglycerides are? If you've just recently had a surgical intervention, bypass surgery or angioplasty with a stent, do not stop a statin. Do not try to stop your statin.
A new category of medications may be an alternative to control bad cholesterol.
There is an alternative, however, to the statins, a remarkable, life-saving, life-changing drug. There's a category, the PCSK9 inhibitors. This is a shot done every 2 weeks, a painless shot, we have tried it, that dramatically lowers your cholesterol and your LDL. It also seems to not lower the HDL, the good cholesterol. It seems to lower your triglycerides in addition, though that has not yet been proven. But it also appears to be side effect free. This truly could be the true fountain of youth. This drug is revolutionary.
These new medications decrease the harmful cholesterol with no side effects.
The interesting thing about these PCSK9 inhibitors is we still do not have outcomes data. Outcomes data means, have they really made people live longer? Have they stopped heart attacks? We do know one thing. They dramatically lower the LDL cholesterol, which seems to be the gold standard by which we evaluate how well we are treating heart disease. I cannot tell you that it has saved my patient's life yet, but I can tell you discontinuation of the statin has given them their life back. Instituting the PCSK9 inhibitor has lowered their cholesterol levels to lower than it was with the statin. The patient feels better, can exercise pain-free without any side effects, and their numbers aren't good. They're phenomenal. They are great.
Coming next, a dangerous condition that can be caused either by acid reflux or heartburn. Remember when your teacher told you not to chew gum in class? They may have been wrong. A study at Cardiff University in Wales found that in tests involving math, those students who were chewing gum responded more quickly and accurately than those who were not. If you have persistent heartburn and acid reflux, you may be at risk for the precancerous condition Barrett's esophagus. It's estimated that as many as 2 million people may have Barrett's esophagus in the U.S., but there are no symptoms. Gastroenterologist Dr. Homan Zadeh reveals the danger of this condition and who needs to be screened.
Barrett's esophagus is a condition that we see in patients with heartburn and acid reflux. What Barrett's is a change in cells of the esophagus. So the esophagus, when it's exposed to acid over a long period of time, it undergoes a change in the cellular level. Barrett's esophagus has no symptoms unless you're scoped and unless we see the typical findings that we normally are trained to see in the esophagus. There's no way for one to know if they have a Barrett's esophagus or not. If Barrett's is not eliminated, it could turn cancerous. So that's why it is extremely important to know about this condition and to be screened for it. Typically, we know from our epidemiological studies that there are few risk factors that predisposes people to Barrett's esophagus. And those are being prolonged exposure to acid, usually greater than 5 years. Males tend to get it more than females do. Caucasians tend to get it more than other races do. Central obesity is a risk factor, and smoking is a risk factor, along with perhaps family history of Barrett's esophagus.
Medications have been used to control reflux and heartburn.
Typically, when we're talking about heartburn, we're talking about GERD and Barrett's esophagus. The cornerstone of treatment is eliminating acid. So that's achieved by using medications. The modern medications are proton pump inhibitors. Those are Nexiums and Prilosec and Prevacid and so on and so forth. The older generations were the H2 blockers, and those were the Zantacs and the Pepcids and the Tagamids. But none of that really cures Barrett's esophagus.
Dr. Zadeh talks about a new procedure for treating Barrett's esophagus.
What we have now and what we could do is actually burn off a layer of Barrett's esophagus during our endoscopic treatments. We have specialized catheters that we could apply short bursts of energy to, which heats up that catheter, that literally burns a thin layer of Barrett's esophagus in the area that we're working in, the esophagus itself. And the idea being that once this area has burnt and it's been ablated, it will slough off, and there will be new cells regenerated underneath this Barrett's mucosa. So this procedure takes about half an hour or so to do, and it requires multiple sessions.
Results for this procedure have been remarkable.
The cure rate for this is at least 95%. And it depends on certain variables, such as the length of the Barrett's that is involved. But as a general rule, once Barrett's is diagnosed, there's no reason for one not to undergo this treatment. And after 3 or 4 sessions, to completely eliminate the Barrett's esophagus that they suffer from.
Innovations in Medicine is brought to you by the National Healthcare Media Organization, bringing the latest in healthcare education to the American home. Coming soon on Innovations in Medicine.
You can replace somebody's heart valve in less than 1 hour without anesthesia, and actually the patient can go home the next day.
Wow.
Akan ditentang habis-habisan di negara ini menerusi pelbagai peruntukan undang-undang. Salam sejahtera, berita tengah malam bersama saya Tun Julia Muhammad Tahir. Kita mulakan dengan perkembangan ini. Pelbagai peruntukan undang-undang sedia ada seperti Akta Pencegahan Jenayah POKA 1959 dan Akta Kesalahan Khas Langkah-Langkah Khas 2012 SOSMA akan digunakan dalam menangani isu kumpulan pengganas. Tegas Menteri Dalam Negeri Datuk Seri Hamzah Zainuddin, semua kumpulan pengganas termasuk Harimau Pembebasan Tamil Ilem LTTE akan ditentang habis-habisan dan dihapuskan daripada terus wujud di negara ini. Kumpulan pengganas di negara ini wajar ditentang bagi menjaga keselamatan negara.
Maka sebab itu saya minta kepada PDRM supaya berhati-hati dan nak memastikan kumpulan-kumpulan ini akan kita serang habis-habisan mereka menggugut kita, maka sebab itu kita juga harus mengambil tindakan yang sewajarnya. Kita akan pastikan kumpulan ini sekali lagi akan ditangkap dan dihapuskan.
Beliau mengulas kenyataan seorang individu yang mengugut akan menembak mati Ketua Polis Negara Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Bado dan menyerang Bukit Aman. Datuk Sri Hamzah ditemui pada program penyerahan bantuan banjir di Felda Ijo. Pemotong rumput dijatuhkan hukuman penjara 13 tahun